All right, 1 hour, let's go. Motivation, meditation, inspiration. If it's not one of the three, I don't want it. So let's go ahead and start talking about motivation and how it is the reflection and how we can identify and utilize the challenges that we face off against on a daily basis in our favor. So if you identify with the challenges that you have and you say to yourself, I can overcome these challenges, then it comes up to you and the ability to focus. When challenges come your way, they're coming your way to strengthen you, to bring you closer to yourself so that you can overcome them no matter the time. You still have to put yourself in that place to have focus. So allowing yourself to put the right things into your system, allowing yourself to have the ability to utilize your thought process in such a way that you utilize your focus so that when you actually see that you can't do things, it's most definitely the time that you can. When you recognize that about yourself and you start to get down to that place inside of who you are, then you start to see the strength inside of who you are. So identify with the ability to grow. Identify with the person that you are inside each individual day, that you can't overcome any challenges that you face off against. Those challenges that you face off against are there for your growth. Realize that there is no thing that cannot be overcome if you're able to focus to a level where you become that reflection. So when you start to get into yourself, you start to get into the place of growth, you start to identify that the challenges that are coming against you are coming against you to test you to see if what you want, you truly want it. So recognize that every challenge that you face off against, it's there for you to be able to focus through and to utilize. So when these tests come your way, they give you the ability to choose how you're going to actually deal with them. So if you deal with them in such a way of positivity that the reflection outward shows your level of strength from your level of focus, then what happens is ultimately the reflection shines out from within who you are. So ask yourself that question. Can I become that strong? Can I put myself in that place? Can I put myself through those challenges? And the answer is yes, you can. You have that ability to focus to that place. You have the ability to take on those types of challenges. You just have to put yourself in a place where you actually allow them to happen. So when we recognize that every challenge that we face off against is there for us, we recognize that every challenge that we face off against is helping us. Then we start to recognize that the challenges that we face off against on a daily basis are there because we have to focus. So recognizing that focus is the reflection of motivation comes from your internal focus, giving yourself the ability to utilize that internal focus in such a way that the reflection shines out as things such as motivation, giving yourself that ability to recognize that you have that type of strength within yourself. Recognize that those challenges that you face off against give you the ability to focus to that level. When you put yourself in that place, when you give yourself that ability, when you give yourself that place of growth, when you get to that place where you utilize the challenges that you face off against on a daily basis, then you are utilizing the tools of this universe. So recognize that this universe can utilize you as a tool. It can utilize your level of focus, and it puts things out there so that you can identify with. So if you identify with the fact that you're facing off against challenges, if you recognize and you create the right type of responses, the universe will utilize your level of focus. It will ultimately gauge you with your level of focus. So if you allow yourself to gain that place where you focus to that point, then other people will start to call you from that reflection. They will call you motivation. When you recognize that, when you get to that level of focus where the internal reflects outwards, then ultimately what is happening is you are utilizing this universe in such a way that the internal and the external reflection shines from within yourself, and they identify that with strength. So when you recognize that within yourself, you see that that place, no matter how much time you have in that day, you still have to give yourself that time. When you give yourself that place to have that level of growth, to have that level of reflection, which shines out from within yourself, is reflection. You have the ability to challenge that. You have the ability to continue to grow. to continue to gain that place inside of yourself where you are constantly becoming focused. It is not about failing. It is not about how many failures you have. It is about how you utilize what you have. When you utilize the tasks that you have on a daily, when you put yourself in such a way that you utilize who you are in such a way that what you got is what it's about. Get it? Getting down to the ability to utilize the grind within yourself, that you actually have that ability to get to that place of focus, that the reflection shines outwards from within yourself. Identify with that challenge that you face off against daily as the ability for you to focus. When you focus to that point where those challenges that you face off against are there for your growth, when you get to that place of reflection, when you get to that place of growth, when you utilize that, even if you have limited time, but you said to yourself you were going to do something and you get out there and you do it, do it. If you say you're going to do it, challenge yourself in that way to be able to utilize your level of focus in such a way that it reflects outwards. Recognize that that reflection comes from within yourself, that strength is the absorption inwards, that actual reflection is what people are identifying with strength is your level of focus, your ability to focus to that point, to get to that place inside of yourself, to get to that level of strength where others identify with you. When they identify with you, they know you as a reflection of motivation. They know you as a strong person. We are all going to have challenges. We're all going to face off against things. It is how you utilize those challenges. It is how you overcome. And that is the place where you see the strength of somebody's focus. That is the place where you see the place of growth from within yourself. When you see those type of challenges, when you see that level of growth, when you see that level of reflection, then you understand that your level of focus gives you that ability to gain that place, to have that level of strength, to have that level of growth. Understand the challenges that you face off against on a daily basis come down to your level of focus, your ability to get into your level of focus and put yourself in the tasks. Don't allow the tasks of your day to derail yourself from gaining that level of focus. When you utilize the tools of this universe, like writing stuff down, like speaking it out, like getting into the place of meditation, like getting yourself to the diet that gives you the ability to have the highest optimal performance, to give yourself those type of things, to put yourself in that type of place where externally the reflection comes from within your level of focus. When you get to that place where you create that type of habit inside of yourself that you are so focused that this universe is going to use you, when you recognize that within yourself, when this universe identifies with you in that way, when this universe utilizes you in that way, when you recognize that those challenges that you face off against on a daily basis you can overcome, when you see this within yourself in such a way that the reflection shines outwards, when you utilize the tools and the tools manifest themselves in front of you in such a way that they continue to give you the ability to reflect out the strength inside of yourself. This is the grind that I'm talking about. Get to the point where the focus inside of yourself is the place where you want to be. Get to the focus inside of yourself where you are going to put yourself in this place, and on this day, at this time, I'm going to do this. When you get to that place inside of yourself, when you have that level of growth, when you have that level of reflection, that's when other people start to study you. That's when they start to get into the place of growth inside of yourself. When you recognize that inside of yourself in such a way that the reflection shines outwards from within you, you have greatness inside of yourself. That is a place of focus. That is a place of strength. When I ultimately look for motivational speakers, what I am looking for is their level of focus. How well can they focus? Can they get that connection to the point where it becomes a reflection? Recognizing that those challenges that they face off against is an art form, the ability to get to that place to grind to that level. Do you want it bad enough to where this universe utilizes you as a tool? That comes from your level of focus. That's your inwards absorption, your external reflection. So recognize that the challenges that you face off against on a daily basis, those are the tasks that you chose to focus on. Those are the tasks that you chose to achieve or not achieve. Recognize that those challenges show others the level of strength that you have inside of yourself to be willing to have that place inside of yourself to create that reflection. Recognize that that reflection that shines outwards comes from your level of strength. So when you see that within yourself, when you see that the level of your focus is your responsibility, when you hear that focus is your place of growth, when you recognize within yourself that that reflection shines outward from within yourself, identify with the growth inside of yourself as a place. And that place is you. That's what I'm talking about, that level of grind. Take on the tasks so that you can do tasks well. So that when you have things come up, that both your positive and your negative utilize in such a way that you turn it positive because your level of focus, your level of commitment to that place, to getting to that level of focus with yourself, you signed your future in such a way instead of failing to plan and planning to fail. We plan to plan. We plan to focus. We plan to put ourselves in that way to give ourselves that level of strength, to give ourselves that level of growth, to give ourselves that level of reflection. When we identify with that, we give ourselves that ability to utilize those tools. This universe will utilize you. It will put you in a place to test both your positive and your negative forces in such a way that you reflect outwards from within yourself. When you give yourself that place where you give yourself that level of strength within who you are, that reflects from within you, and this universe will test you. It will literally put tests in front of you to see if what you want is truly what you want. And if you put yourself in a place where you continue to focus, that means it becomes a life and death. And the challenge between yourself and you, that is a place of growth. When you recognize that kind of reflection, when you get into that place, when that place comes from within yourself, and the reflection shines outwards, when you identify with that level of growth inside of you, that means that you can reflect outward strength. That means that you can reflect outwards motivation. When others see that kind of a place, that's when they start to take notes. If you put yourself in a place where you create that form of habits, then this universe will utilize you. You will start to get the things that you want to achieve. Those challenges, those focuses, those points, those places, those things that you want to do are within your grasp. They're all there for you to grow and to utilize for your reflection of strength. Reflect inwards with that level of focus to gain that place outwards where that reflection shines from your internal absorption. Recognize that internal absorption is your level of focus. How well you could focus, how well you can use this thing to reflect outwards with that place. Identifying that the reflection comes from within ourselves gives us the ability to identify that we are responsible for our challenges. We give ourselves the ability not where you failed at, where you are, where you grow from, how you utilize the challenges that you have. When you see that within yourself, when you give yourself that place where that reflection shines from within who you are, that's when you understand that the motivation inside of yourself is focus. When you identify and you get that connection, when you get that place of focus to the place where the absorption and the reflection shines outwards from within yourself, then you're utilizing the tools that you have available to you. That's the purpose of focus, getting to the point where we focus, where we use what we got and not what we don't have. We get to that place, when we get to that level of growth, we get to that place inside of ourselves where we reflect outwards, where we recognize that the strength is going to come out from within ourselves, from our level of focus. When we get to that place where we want it that bad, ask yourself what you want in life. Ask yourself those types of questions. Can you focus? Can you get down with you? Can you get down with your grind? Can you get down to that place inside of yourself where it reflects outwards, where you identify with yourself, where you get into the place of growth within who you are, where the reflection comes from you, where it bleeds out with focus, where the actual bleed is what people call you. They call you so focused at this thing, they call you a motivation. When you start to study those people and you bleed out the same way that they do, when that comes from within yourself, when you want to become that best at that reflection, recognize that comes from your level of strength, which comes from within yourself. When you see that within who you are and it reflects outwards, then you start to identify with this universe. And this universe will utilize you. So see, what is backwards is actually forwards, the absorption, the reflection. So when we understand these types of things, when we use these types of things, we utilize the energy inside of ourselves to the point of focus, where we utilize the things that are look like they are impossible, that they are not impossible. It is ability to get to that point. There is a place inside of yourself that has a place of focus, that has the ability to do this. This is a capability within yourselves This is a place inside of who you are. This is a reflection outwards. And you have to ask yourself, how bad do you want it? Are you focused to that point? How bad do you want it? Do you want it bad enough to breathe? Are you focused enough to where you recognize that you won't make an excuse? That you can gain to that place inside of yourself where you gain that level of reflection? That's where I'm at. I'm at a hunt. I'm at a place inside of myself where the focus is a reflection outwards. I want to bring you with me on my journey. I want you to recognize that your journey is great too. Your place is a place of reflection. Your place is a place of growth, and you can gain that place within yourself. Each individual has this universe utilizable for them. When they utilize this universe as such a thing as a tool, the reflection outward shines from within yourself, and the reflection gives you the ability to identify with this universe in such a way that the reflection comes from within who we are. So when we start to reflect, when we start to get to that place where we start to grind with ourselves, we no longer make an excuse, where we no longer give ourselves the ability to not focus. When we get to that place, to that reflection, that all comes from within you. You have that within yourself. You all have that place, that level of grind, and that is inside of you. If you can get to the point where you reflect outwards from your level of focus, your level of growth comes from within yourself. Let other people call you motivation. Let other people call you strong. Let other people see that the reflection shines from within yourself outwards. Let them identify with you as such a universal tool, that this universe utilizes you. When you reflect outward with that, when you reflect outward with that strength, when you become that person, when you gain that level of reflection, when this universe utilizes you, then you start to identify that the things that matter are focus. When you get down to that level of focus, when you use that place, when you study motivational people, look for their level of focus. Look for their place where they are actually getting to that place where they are focusing, where the reflection is what you're seeing. The reflection of what their level of focus, their ability to get to that place of grind reflects outwards. When we reflect outwards, the universe utilizes your level of focus, and it is going to test you to see if you have what it takes. You continue to focus. You continue to put those challenges in place. You continue to put yourself in such a way that the reflection shines. When you recognize that that is who you are, that you have that level of reflection of strength within yourselves, when you reflect outwards, when that comes from your level of focus, it comes down to it's my responsibility, it's your responsibility to get to yourself to that place. It's nobody else's to take that for you. It's a life, it's for me, it's a life or death. I'm going to get down to that level of grind inside of myself where I'm going to challenge every single thing in this universe. I'm going to utilize this universe in such a way that I'm going to turn this universe into a positive place. But I got to tell you, it's within yourselves to get to that level of focus. It's within yourselves to get to that level of strength. It's within yourselves to get to that place, to get to that level of grind, to get to that level of absorption where that reflection shines out from within yourself. When you start to see my hair gray and you start to see me get younger from my place inside of who I am, when that reflection shines outwards and people start to look at me like I'm young, because I get to that level of focus, get to that place, get to that point inside of yourself where it lives, get to that place where that focus grows and that reflection shines from your level of focus. When you take on a task, you do it the best you can. That task might be making a bed, and that might be driving a car, or that might be becoming a teacher. But when you take on that task, you do the best you can. When you become a student, you become that best student. When you put yourself in this place, when you utilize those type of tools, when you have the opportunity to become that type of companion, you become that best type of companion. Reflect outwards, identify with the universe in such a way that it utilizes your level of focus to increase this universe in such a way that it can utilize you as a tool from your level of focus, will grow outward strength. What other people identify as strength comes from a person's level of focus. Their willingness to do that extra set, that extra rep, that extra hour, that extra place where other people would just give up. Identify with yourself in that way. Give yourself the ability to have that just before I end my day, no matter what, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna meditate. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna put out a video. I'm gonna make sure that no matter the challenge I face off against, I'm gonna do this thing and I'm gonna make this thing happen. When you recognize with yourself, with this universe in that way, the challenges that you face off against, no matter how hard they are, you can overcome them. Recognize that you are that strong. That place inside of yourself lives within you. That reflection outwards comes from your level of focus, your place inside of yourself to grow, to overcome the challenges that you face off against on a daily basis. And yes, you got to be hard on yourself. Yes, you absolutely have to be, because no one else will be. No one else will be hard on you except for you. So you have to say, if I'm going to do this thing, you do it. If you put yourself in that place and you put yourself into that reflection, that's when people will start to call you a motivation. This universe needs motivation. This universe needs that type of reflection. It needs people to focus to that level, to gain that level of reflection outwards to achieve their dreams. It needs you to be able to see that you can focus past your challenges, that you can get down to the challenges that you face off against, to get down to that ability to grind to that place, to get to that level of reflection outwards, which shines from within yourself, the reflection from within you, but shows us all what you're made of. You understand that it is within yourself to focus to that place. That's when others start to identify you as strong. That's when others start to identify you as motivated. That's when others start to identify you as beautiful. When you identify with the level of focus that you have inside of yourself as strength, as the reflection of focus. Get into that place, get into that habit where you recognize the absorption and your ability to overcome all challenges within yourselves. Recognize that place inside of who you are, that you give yourself that place of growth. When that reflection shines from within ourselves, that's when this universe starts to become a better place for us all. That's the purpose of motivation, is that other people can identify with you as motivation. They will identify with you as a reflection. They will identify with you as a place of strength, and they will follow you. They will give the ability for you to be able to utilize it as focus, utilize it as strength, and as motivation. You see, we all need motivation. We all need that reflection. We all need that focus. We all need that within ourselves. We all need that form of liberation. When we give ourselves that ability to get to the place where we put it down to the focus, to get to the grind, to get to that place inside of ourselves, where we get past the point and we get straight to it. When we get to that place where we say we're going to achieve this goal, this today, and we achieve those, we get to that place where it doesn't matter what happened before, what is happening now is what's going on. Where that is, that place of reflection, that place of identity, that place within ourselves is a place of strength. That is what people will see. They will see the strength within yourself. They will see the strength inside of who you are. And that will help them to focus themselves. That will help them to get to that place. And that will make it a much more beautiful world for us all. When we all get to that level of focus, when we all elevate ourselves to recognize the greatness within ourselves, that's from our level of focus. Our level of focus to that point where we overcome the challenges. Our level of focus where those challenges become little things where they no longer have the effect over us. When we get to that place within ourselves where that reflection shines outwards from within who we are. When we get down with our grind, when we get into ourselves, that is deep. When you get to that place, when you get to know yourself, the reflection shines outwards through other people where you recognize that within yourself. When you see that place, when you get to that place, when you get to that level of grind, that is when this universe will start to utilize you. And when you study motivational speakers, look for that place inside of themselves where they got to that level of grind, where that story that they're sharing with you comes from that place, where that story they're sharing with you comes from their level of focus. When they get known as a motivational speaker, recognize that what they're being known for is the reflection of their level of focus and their level of strength, which is the reflection of their level of focus. Identify with the strength and don't get it twisted. Untwist it. Untwist it. Put yourself in a place where you can focus, where you are not a victim. You are not a victim of your own focus. You are not a victim. You hearing me? You are not a victim of your own focus. It is just how strong the reflection is shining outwards. Utilize your focus in such a way that you can utilize it as your tool because you have the ability to utilize that tool. You have that ability to utilize that tool in such a way that it reflects outwards from within who you are. So when you get to that place, when you get to that level of focus, when you get to that level of growth where you start to utilize these types of tools, where people start to utilize your level of focus as strength, and when they start to utilize that as the reflection of their own focus, and it helps them to be able to get to that place. It helps them to get to that level of growth. It helps them to overcome their own challenges, that those challenges can move out of the way when a person focuses to the point where they utilize it. When they get to that place where you want it as bad as you're going to breathe, you get to that level of focus, when you get to that place where it becomes something within who you are, when you identify to that level of strength, to that level of growth, to that level of grind, that it utilizes you. See, this universe will use you, and it will twist this universe in such a way that if you absorb in that level of focus and you reflect outwards, it will utilize it as a tool. It will utilize it in such a way that the reflection will elevate. And this universe tests your level of elevation. It will put these challenges to see if you will actually overcome them. Can you go through these challenges? Can you get to that level of grind inside of yourself? Can you identify and can you see the reflection in those people that are trying to motivate you from their level of focus? Can you see that place? Can you see that growth? Can you see that reflection? And that reflection comes from within ourselves. The universe testing us to see just how bad we can focus, just how bad we can get to that place, just how bad we can get to that reflection. And can we let that reflection shine outwards within ourselves? Can we get to that level of reflection where we become focused, where that focus reflects outwards? And that is what this universe is about, getting to that place, getting to that level of growth, getting to that level of reflection, and identifying that the challenges that we face off against we can overcome. Recognize that you have that ability inside of yourselves. You have that ability to gain that level of strength, gain that level of focus, to become that kind of reflection. That is within you all. That place is where the true grind starts, the true strength of what others will identify with you as is how well you can focus, how well you can get into yourself to get into that place. Can you get down with you? Can you grind? Can you raise yourself? Can you raise the ability to take on the challenges, to take on less challenges, and to do them better every single day? Can you get to that place where you identify? Can you see the reflection of what I'm talking about? Can you get to that place? Can you get to that level of motivation where that reflection is shining out, where it bleeds from within yourself? Can you get to that place inside of you where that reflection shines from within who you are? And that all comes down to how bad you want it. And that want is how focused you can be. And that is that reflection. So if you ask yourself, how can I focus? Then what it will reflect outwards is motivation, will reflect outwards as strength, will reflect out as positivity. When you get to that level of focus where you utilize it as a grind, getting that deep to that point where it's you versus you, when you get to that place where you gain that kind of reflection, where that comes out from within who you are, when you get to that place where that reflection shines out from within yourself, And you get to that place where that reflection gives you the ability to overcome the challenges that you face off against on a daily basis, because if they don't have to deal with focus, then they move out of the way. When this universe utilizes you as that type of tool, that you have that type of torque, that they recognize that torque in this universe as a reflection from your level of focus. And it is an inwards journey. It is an inwards journey to focus. It is the ability to get down with yourself to the point where when you get into the inwards journey and you have that connection with yourself inside, when you get to that place where you absorb that energy inside of yourself, to give yourself that level of focus, to get down with yourself. I'm talking about the grind. I'm talking about the getting into that knowledge inside of yourself. I'm talking about the reflection of meditation. Meditation is a reflection of how badly you want it, the level of focus that you have within yourself, and that reflection of that knowledge within yourself that reflects outwards. You want to talk about grind, you want to talk about the knowledge you got inside of yourself. That is a reflection from within who you are. Can you identify with yourself in this universe? Can you have that kind of connection where the reflection shines from your level of strength, where you absorb that knowledge, and that absorption gets broken down into the books of you, which reflect outward from your level of knowledge, which you feast on, which creates a light from within yourself, which radiates from within who you are, where the reflection outwards come from within yourself, where you utilize this universe in such a way this universe utilizes you. Do you see that place inside of yourself? Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see that you have that type of knowledge inside of yourself where you can connect your level of focus with the knowledge that you have to absorb, to gain the lessons inside of yourself? Can you understand that you could be the student inside the classroom at the same exact time be the teacher? Can you put yourself in the way that you can focus to that point where you can go into this inwards journey, where you can go into that place inside of yourself, where you can get to that level where that reflection shines outwards as light? Can you get to that place where that knowledge inside of yourself will give you the ability to learn from the lessons within yourself, to get to that level of growth, to get to that place where you reflect outwards? Very important to understand what truly is absorption and what is reflection. And meditation teaches this. Meditation teaches you the ability to connect yourself with your internal absorption and what you reflect outwards. That is why they call it a change. It isn't physically that you're changing, it's that you're connecting yourself with what really is. When you give yourself that ability to have that level of energy, when you give yourself that ability to have that level of reflection, when you give yourself that ability to gain that level of knowledge, when you have the ability to focus to the point where you can get that level of extraction, when you get to that place where meditation is a connection between your inwards journey, your breath, and your ability to reflect outwards. That is what meditation is. It is the absorption, reflection from within ourselves. That reflection is what people identify with. That reflection is what people call meditation. The inwards journey connection with you, which reflects outwards from your absorption of the knowledge inside of yourself, from your level of focus, from your ability to get down to that level of grind inside of yourself, to the reflection to shine outwards from within who you are. Ask yourself, can you get to that place inside of who you are? Can you get to that level of reflection where it shines like a light in a dark tunnel? That dark tunnel called your journey. That dark tunnel called the ability to breathe is just you versus you. When you bring that game on with yourself, with your level of focus, your level of knowledge, and you put yourself in such a place that you have that kind of connection where you can become the student inside the classroom and the teacher at the same exact time, where knowledge and focus meet, where the ability to get to that level of reflection, identifying with that place inside of yourself to gain that level of knowledge, to gain that reflection outwards. This universe utilizes you as a tool. This universe will utilize you as the ability to reflect light, and what others will see is the light inside of yourself so brightly that you will outshine a candle. When you see that you have that kind of energy inside of yourself, when you see that place inside of who you are, when it reflects out to that point where you become that reflection with that level of connection, with that level of reflecting outwards from within ourselves, That's when we identify with this universe in such a way. I want you to understand that you can get to that connection. You can get to that place. You can get to that level of growth where the knowledge becomes feasted upon within yourself, where you give yourself the ability to learn from who you are inside, that you utilize every lesson that you have, that your breath was that connection with you, to get to that inner place, to get to that inner journey, to reflect outwards, to identify with who you are, to express yourself in every way, to stand your ground, give yourself the ability to get past the thought process, to get over all the challenges that you face off against, to the point where the reflection shines from within who you are. Are you able to grind to that level? Are you able to get to that place? Are you able to get into yourself to the point where you are a universal tool, where that tool utilizes you? When you recognize what that universal tool is, you, when you recognize that this is a tool, this is the ability to connect that inwards absorption with the external reflection. Can you get that out of yourself to the point where you recognize what truly exists, that level of focus, that level of knowledge, that connection to that point where this universe was and where this universe is, without and within, with the absorption inwards from the lessons that you learn, the places that you go, the things that you do, to the point where you can utilize yourself, to the point where people call you meditation, where they ask you how you practiced you. How did you get to the level where you got to? How did you get into yourself to that point, to get to that reflection? How did you learn this form of connection? When you see that within yourselves, when you identify with who you are inside, and that reflection shines that light of that knowledge inside of yourself to the point where it reflects outwards. When you become the ground in your own knowledge, when you become the ground in your own knowledge, where the trees branch out from your level of focus, where that place inside of yourself grows to the point where the reflection shines outwards, where it bleeds, as meditation. That is meditation. Many people ask me, how do you meditate? It comes from your level of knowledge and your level of focus. That is how far you will go. If you can get to the point where you utilize that in such a flow, that you utilize all the energies within yourself, and you can break that down from your level of focus, that you can utilize this universe as such a thing, that your level of focus gets you to be able to utilize that type of torque to the point where the reflection opens up and heats up the knowledge inside of yourself, where it reflects and radiates outwards from within who you are. This universe created you as great. This universe created you as knowledge. This universe created you as absorption. And those reflections is what people call you. Those reflections are what they call me meditation. That's what it's about, to get to that point where you utilize that place inside of yourself where it's a external reflection, where that reflection comes from inside of ourselves, that others actually truly see that the thing inside of ourselves is our level of focus and our level of knowledge. When we feast on that knowledge inside of ourselves, when we gain every lesson from every challenge, when we connect ourselves with this universe in such a way that we become the painter, the painting, and the paint. When you get to that level of connection with yourselves, which is within you all, you have that ability. It comes down to how willing are you to focus and how much knowledge you get yourself to be able to get into. Ask yourself, can I get into myself at that point? Can I get past these challenges? Can I get into this place? Can I get into this reflection? Can I bypass all of this to the point where these challenges are something of growth? Recognize you can. You have that ability to radiate light out from within yourselves. You have that ability to gain that place of reflection where you can become that student inside the classroom of you, where you can gain that knowledge and you can reflect outwards with your external breaths. Can you get to that level of connection, absorb that level of knowledge? To get to that place, to get to that level of grind with yourself, with that connection, puts you into the exact place where you're supposed to be for you. Recognizing that that is a reflection outwards that gives us the ability to elevate ourselves past it. Let other people call you beautiful. Let other people call you light. Let other people call you knowledge, which ultimately is elevation. Ultimately, when we go past the point of self-love, when we actually go to the place of that front seed before that, where the actual knowledge lays, where the reflection shines outwards, and what other people call you self-love is your self-knowledge inside of yourself. Ultimately, reaching that level of reflection inside of yourself requires a connection. When you utilize this connection of this universe in such a way that it utilizes you, you will find a intersection between your internal reflection, your external reflection. And when you get to that point of discipline, when you get to the point where you start to connect with your inwards journey, when you get to that level of discipline, when you utilize that level of discipline, that's when this universe starts to utilize you as an inspiration. That is that reflection which they see, that intersection between knowledge and focus. I got it. It is inspiration. It is creating those ripples. It is creating the place that others would identify with you as a universal change. Understand you all have that within yourself. You all have that inner light. You have that intersection within you where you can get to that level of inspiration. There are other people that have gotten to that place. They have gotten to that level of strength. They gotten to that level of reflection. But this universe has used them even past this thing, even past this discipline, to the point where it reflected outwards, where the ripples were there even after the rock dropped in the water. They got dropped to the water to be able to create the ripples. So when we see that, when we give ourselves the ability to have that, when we liberate ourselves to that point where we create our own ripples, when we give ourselves that level of growth within ourselves where it reflects outwards, where we identify that we have that reflection inside of ourselves, when we get to that place where that level of growth is called inspiration, that is the reflection that people will call you. When you get to that level of discipline, that's what other people will call you. When your whole entire being is connected to your knowledge and focus, and the reflection outward shines, and that is what they will call you. They will call you inspiration. They will call you other names. They will say that you took my breath away from your level of connection with this universe. In such a way, this universe utilized your level of knowledge and your level of focus that you were able to become an inspiration. When you give yourself that ability, when you gain that level of reflection, this universe will create ripples from you. And when you allow others to create their own ripples in the same way, when you give them the ability to get that place inside of themselves, that's when that inner light fires. That's when that connection between that knowledge and that focus starts to go, aha, I got it. When you have that I got it moment inside of yourself, when you get to that place where you start to get to that place inside of yourself, then you will recognize that helping other people is a part of creating those ripples. When you create ripples in other people, that's when you start to actually become a universal change. This universe will utilize you as a tool no matter where you are, no matter what you go through, no matter where you are. It's beyond yourself. If you can get yourself beyond who you are, and you can get to that place, and you can get to that reflection, and you can get to that growth, if you can get into that place inside of yourself, where you can gain that level of strength, this universe will move out of the way to allow you to have that level of connection with you. But you got to want it bad enough that you go hard on yourself to the point where you become a whole entire being, where you put your whole entire self into it. That's what Bruce Lee was saying. When I threw a punch, I really had to throw my whole entire self into that punch. Got it. I understand these masters of the past. I understand their purposes. I understand this universe in such a way that I found that intersection. That intersection between knowledge and focus is discipline, and that is that reflection of your level of discipline showing through as a inspiration. So recognize that that is within yourself to get to that level of reflection. You have that purpose to become that inspiration within this universe, to get that level of connection. I want to set off this fire inside of yourself to get to the place of knowledge and focus inside of yourself, that you can elevate yourself to that place of reflection, where you can get to that place of growth, where you can get to that place of beauty inside of yourself, where it radiates outwards as others identify you as beautiful. Let them identify you as beautiful. Identify yourself as knowledge and focus. Identify yourself as a reflection of your level of focus and your level of knowledge, where everything comes outwards as the reflection from those places. The reflection will come in from your level of absorption. When you absorb and you reflect outwards, then you utilize this internal, this external breath, this connection with this thing, which is a discipline, which is a reflection of inspiration. That is what its purpose. When we put ourselves in that way, this universe is going to put in negatives and positives in such a way that you can utilize both of them in favor. When you utilize every situation to turn it into a positive situation, you recognize that these challenges that you face off against are a place of growth. They are you. That reflection outwards, that is you. That knowledge inside of yourself, that focus inside of yourself, when you connect that together and this universe can utilize you as a tool, that's when you create ripples in this universe. When you get to that place inside of yourself where that reflection shines outwards, where you get past the point of breaking the barriers that stop the mind from gaining that level of strength, when you utilize everything that happens to you as a place of growth, when you utilize it from your level of focus and your level of knowledge, and the extraction from that knowledge creates a intersection, and that intersection asks you, how disciplined are you? Can you take that green light called inspiration into this universe? Can you put it into that way in such a way that you can take that green light and understand that it will put you forward and propel you in this universe in such a way that you will leave ripples within this universe? We have seen many who have left those ripples. We have seen many who have been to that place. We have seen many who have that reflection from within who they are. And I want you to understand that it is a level of elevation. It is a place to get yourself to that level of knowledge and focus, that's within yourselves. That is within you. Are you hearing what I'm saying? You have the ability to get to that place of grind. You have that ability to get to that level of inspiration where you can give the ability to utilize this universe to use you as a tool. When you see that tool being utilized properly, when you utilize that tool properly from within yourself, and this universe utilizes you in that way, it creates a reflection. So don't get it twisted. Put it in the right place. Inspire yourself. Get that connection going. Get yourself into the place where you become that fire, that inner light to absorb that knowledge within yourself reflects outwards, where who you are inside reflects, where who you are inside becomes that which others would call names. And they will call you good and bad names. They will call you both smart and not. But the reflection ultimately comes down to your level of focus and your level of knowledge. When you utilize that place inside of who you are, when you get to that level of reflection, we get to that level where you are constantly growing, where you absorb the knowledge inside of yourself, and that reflection shines outwards from within you, who you are. This universe has the ability to utilize you. This universe has the ability to get to that place with yourself, to get to that level of reflection. Recognize that that is an important part of identifying with the challenges that you are going to face off against. Understand that these challenges that you face off against give you the ability to create those type of ripples. If you can get to that place of discipline, if you can find that intersection is that reflection of inspiration from your whole entire being, having that type of connection, when you give yourself that place, when you give yourself that level of growth, when you give yourself that place inside of who you are, you will see that you have that external reflection out from within who you are, that every single challenge that you face off against comes from within you, that you have that ability to overcome them, and you can utilize the tools of this universe. You can utilize positive thinking. You can utilize all of these things when you have the ability to have that connection, the reflection. Let others call you those things. Let them have the ability to call you those things. Radiate from within yourself with your level of knowledge and focus with your level of discipline. Connect the whole entire being to that point. Get to that level of elevation where others would be challenged just to recognize who you are. Recognize just how much of a fire comes within yourself, where that fire shines from within you in such a way that it reflects outwards, where you get to that place where others would start to see those reflections and they will start to call you great. They will call you a changer. They will call you all kinds of things. What matters is your connection with this universe in such a way that you create those ripples. What matters is that you give yourself that place to get that knowledge and that level of focus, to gain that level of heat within yourself, to create that radiating light. When you recognize that you have that type of a purpose, when you can become that level of inspiration, that you do have that knowledge within yourself, that you have that reflection, that comes within you when you recognize with you to that level. When you get down with you, when you get down with you, when you get to the point where everything you got is within yourself, when you get to that place, when you get to that level of strength, you get to that level of focus, where that is what others identify with you. I got it. I got it. The intersection between knowledge and focus, it's discipline. And when that discipline radiates outwards, that reflection is inspiration. So you all have that within yourselves. You all have the ability to become an inspiration. You have all of you have that ability to get that green light, to turn this universe into a place where you can utilize a body in motion stays in motion, these universal laws, these places inside that reflect outwards from within ourselves. That is what it's about. That is that inner light. That is that inner focus. That is what all of these motivational speakers have been talking about, to get to that intersection, which is called inspiration. And I want to do it at a speed of light. I'm going to bring you guys with me. I'm going to put you guys in such a way that you put yourself in that place where that reflection shines outwards from within who you are, and this universe has the ability to utilize you. And this universe utilizes you in such a way that the reflection shines from within yourself. The reflection that shines outwards is that place. When you give yourself that ability to go beyond the challenges that you don't think could be done, because your level of knowledge and your focus destroys these things in the universe and puts you into that place where you can have that type of connection with yourself, with that internal absorption reflects outwards, that you get to that level of discipline, that place, I want you to know that you have a fire inside of yourselves. You have the ability to gain that level of heat from your level of focus to the point where you can flame that furnace to gain that knowledge side of yourself. If yet you will recognize that you are focus, that you are knowledge, that you can utilize those challenges and overcome them within yourselves. When you see that those challenges have nothing, no bearing on you, no ability to stop you from becoming that person, from gaining that place, when you recognize with that, when you understand that those challenges are growth, when you get to that place, when you get to that level of grind, where you overcome all challenges within yourself, when you get to that place where this universe ultimately utilizes you, when you see yourself changing other people's lives from your level of ripples, from your connection, when you see your connection in such a way that it becomes a place of growth where it radiates outwards from within who you are, recognize that you have that ability to create those kind of ripples in this universe. If you can get the connection between knowledge and focus to the point of discipline, where it radiates outwards, where it becomes so strong within yourself that the universe utilizes your whole being. Recognize this universe utilize your universe in such a way that it will create a universe for you. I'm talking about changing this world in such a way that we radiate this light outward, that we radiate this reflection from within who we are. Where when we work with others, when we give ourselves the ability to uplift others, when we give ourselves the ability to give ourselves the ability to pull people up, when we say these types of things, when we start to mean them, the reflection shines from within who you are. That is motivation, meditation, and inspiration. Knowledge, focus, and discipline. Knowledge, focus, discipline, radiation. When you reflect outwards with motivation, when you reflect outwards as meditation, when you reflect outwards as inspiration, this universe will utilize the tool of you in such a way that you create reflection in such a way that others would see that reflection, and that will help them to start to get to the level of focus, to get to the level of the knowledge inside of themselves, which is liberation. Liberating yourself to the point where you are freed of those things, where this universe can utilize you as the proper tool, which you are, that you are a discipline, you are an inspiration, you are the whole entire connection, and that's what people will see you as. That's what people will identify with you as. That's what I want to be. I want to be an inspiration. I want to be a light in this universe. I want to create a light to the point where no one can ever recognize that there was anything other than light shining from within myself. And yes, we all face off against challenges. And yes, we all have the ability to overcome those challenges. It's about your level of connection with that reflection. Can you get to that place where that reflection shines outwards, where you will set off other lights? When you start to set a fire and you take that same torch and you pass that torch on, and this universe creates ripples on its own from just your torch itself. Can you get to that place? Can you get to that growth? Can you get to that level of reflection from within yourself? And I say, you can. You can get to that place. Not only that, you can use that reflection to help other people to reach that level of connection. They can reach that level where they create their own ripples, where this universe hits a place where it can be like that. But you have to put yourself in a place of knowledge and a place of focus to where you put the positivity into this universe, where you utilize and identify Newton's third law of motion. For each action, there's equal and opposite reaction. When you get to that level of strength, this universe will utilize you as a tool. It will utilize you as a way. I will utilize you to increase your wealth. It will increase your ability to gain all these tools within this universe in such a way that this universe will utilize you. So if you recognize the things, the challenges that you face off against, you can overcome. You can become connected with the whole being in such a way that you can take off on any task that you take on as such a reflection that shines from within yourself. And this universe needs you. This universe needs you to create that light so that you will fire off other fires. This universe needs you to create that level of reflection. This universe needs you to create that level of connection, to that discipline becomes that reflection of inspiration, where that discipline becomes that level of universal change, where this reflection is what is being shown, where this reflection is showing outwards in such a way that others would identify with you as something so great, where others would call you names, where when they call these types of things, they think of you. When they call these types of things, they think of your reflection. When you get to that place where you become that reflection, when you identify with that place, when you start to get there, start to light other lights, start to give other lights the ability to gain that place inside of themselves. When they start to gain that place, help to bring them up, help them to gain those levels of focus, help them to gain those places so that they can become that, and we can create this universe in such a way that we start to untwist the twist that this universe put on us. I want to inspire you to untwist yourselves. I want to inspire you to become that kind of light. I want to inspire you to recognize that your level of focus is very important, that your level of knowledge inside of yourself comes from within you, and that what you have is what matters. And it's not about what you don't have. It matters about what you have and what you do with what you got. Can you get to that place where your knowledge and your level of focus creates your level of discipline, which creates that reflection as an inspiration? Can you see that within yourselves? Can you get to that place? Can you get to that level of growth where you leave a reflection? Even beyond this thing, to create that reflection in this universe, even beyond this thing, to create that reflection, to set up those fires, to set up those lights, to become that is the purpose, to get to that place where it utilizes you as that reflection. Can you get to that place inside of yourself where you become that reflection? Can you reflect at that level where others identify you as strong? And I say you can if you give yourself that ability to focus. And can you connect that with the knowledge side of yourself? And I say you can. You can get to that place where people can call you meditation. But you got to pay yourself first. You got to put yourself in such a place where you can get to that level of discipline, where you can get to that place where that reflection shines outwards from within yourself, where you utilize this universe in such a way that place is a place of growth. That place is a place within you. You have that level of reflection to create those type of ripples into this universe where that connection will create beyond even ourselves. That place, that growth, that reflection, that level of reflection, that level of discipline to get to that place of inspiration. If there's one thing that I want to be known for in this universe, it's that I'm an inspiration. I want to be known to create ripples within this universe that can't even be denied. As I was driving, I had a customer, and that customer said to me, I've had multiple types of challenges, and left me a comment in such a way that it said inspiration. I want you to recognize that I bleed inspiration, and I want to inspire you all to bleed inspiration from within yourselves to get to that level of fire, to get to that place. I want to bless you all. Blessings. As always, namaste.